quality of the movies that I've reviewed this month have been so up and down that it'll give you whiplash. But thankfully today I'm covering a legitimately great movie, like a movie that I would happily enter into my Christmas movie rotation, my regular rotation anyway. Scrooged. I'll be the first to admit this is the first time that I've seen this movie. I know I'm severely late to the party, but I had not seen the movie up till a couple days ago, and yeah, the movie is really good. It was directed by Richard Donner. He's directed a couple of movies you may have heard of, and the movie starred Bill Murray, Carol Kane, a young-ass John Glover, and Alfred Woodard. And this is basically Richard Donner's version of A Christmas Carol. Nick Cross, played by Murray, is the president of the fictional TV network IBC, which between network and Videodrome, these three must share a cinematic universe. That's a universe that I would watch anyway. But long story short, this is A Christmas Carol. He's visited by three ghosts and is confronted with the choices that he's made in the past, but also given an off-ramp off of the bad choice road, if you will. If any of you have followed me for a length of time, you will know that I love A Christmas Carol, just as a general story. It's the ultimate redemption story, like I talked about in my Carol for Another Christmas review. The story, when told right, is genuinely one of the most beautiful stories ever told. And honestly, I did not expect to love Scrooged as much as I did, but I did, and I'll be the first to admit that I legitimately got choked up, like, near the end. Bill Murray did a really good job as Nick Cross is Frank Cross, excuse me. In my research, I found out that he was actually taking a hiatus from acting at the time because of two things: the success of Ghostbusters and the tremendous flop of a movie that was The Razor's Edge, which came out around the same time as each other, I believe in the same year. And he just felt like he was done with acting for a time. He read scripts and considered roles, but he just said the scripts just weren't good enough. I low-key kind of admire his reasoning. It just, if they're not good enough, then I'm just not doing them. But he read the script for Scrooged and was like, all right, let's give this a shot. Also, in my research, I found that he and Donner butted heads creatively. However, Donner has done nothing but praise Murray and saying that he was nice to work with. So I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in the middle on that, but Murray did a really good job. The movie does a really good job of modernizing, for the mid-80s anyway, the Christmas Carol story. Basically, when you look at the DNA of A Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge starts out working for J. Fezziwig and basically works his way up and basically taking over the company. Frank Cross starts out in the mailroom at IBC. He makes several deals with the devil, for lack of a better word. He kisses the right amount of butts, and sure enough, he is president. It's pretty scummy, but he is the president. And the power immediately goes to his head. There's some very cartoony and over-the-top moments that definitely grind my gears a bit, but the movie did a good job of showing that for a modern age, or well, that modern age anyway, that was what Ebenezer Scrooge might have done. Alfred Woodard was good in the Bob Cratchit role. She has a son who can't speak, which when I saw the son for the first time, I was like, all right, he's going to be saying, God bless us everyone, isn't he? And while I did call it, that does in fact happen, I wasn't even mad because it was legit one of my favorite moments of the movie. So what do I know, huh? John Glover, aka Lionel Luthor from Smallville, is in this movie, and he's so young. Holy crap. Like, I had to do a double take just to see this dude once looked like this, and in the early 2000s he looked like this. Just crazy to think about. But John Glover basically plays the guy who's trying to take Frank Cross's job at the network. And my one lone knock against the movie is that there's this whole subplot of a guy trying to take over Frank Cross's job, that being the John Glover character. Nice to see him and all, but I thought that was rather unnecessary. I was assuming that Glover was going to be the Jacob Marley character, but then we see a Jacob Marley-esque character near the beginning of the movie in a genuinely unsettling scene. So, like, why was there a corporate, like, Like, why was there a corporate takeover subplot in this movie? I refuse to guess. Also, another knock, but also kind of lumped into the unnecessary side of things, along with the corporate overlord and or the corporate takeover, excuse me, is that there are some scenes in the movie that felt surreal for the sake of being surreal. Like, for example, when we see the Ghost of Christmas Future for the first time, he looks like an off-brand, legally distinct Skeletor. But then he transforms into basically a television screen wearing a dark hood on. That hood look was far creepier than seeing Skeletor, the diet version of Skeletor. I don't know, like it was a fake out, I guess, and there was a fake out, so that parlayed into that, but I don't know, it was just weird. But at the end of the day, Scrooged is a more than worthy adaptation of A Christmas Carol. And like I said, the ending legitimately not really made me cry, but genuinely was like, Bill Murray's getting me a little emotional here, and that usually does not happen.
You'll want it every day of your life, and it can happen to you. I believe in it now.
No offense to Murray, but just by the end, like he turns his life around, and you're just like, wow, this is actually like really heartwarming. So if you have not seen Scrooged, watch it, and if you have seen it before, watch it again.